Hello,
I'm very pleased to be here today. Thank you for the invitation. I was going to write a text about the climate crisis, and I thought, what can I tell you? So much has been said already. So we should use coffee to go cups. And I wish this coffee to go cup could save the world, but I became really angry. This is a rant about Austrian politics. So have fun. This is not a climate text where I'm going to tell you that our Earth is sacred, important, and our home, because, of course, that's what it is. We've talked about it so many times, and we've heard it so many times that hopefully by now everyone in this room is aware of it. This is not a text where I'm going to tell you, hey people, we need to be careful, really careful, because otherwise our planet is going to be plagued by uncontrollable chain reactions. I don't need to explain you that, because science and also the kids of Fridays for Future have already said it 1,000 times. So this is not a text where I'll explain to you to buy products that to burden the environment, because of course you should consume more environmentally consciously and try to produce as little waste as possible. But I have to tell you quite honestly that I don't think that we will save the world through our consumption behavior alone. These are fairy tales they're telling us, and greenwashing, so a kind of capitalism. So again, what actually took us to this point? No, this is a text about how angry I am that obviously many politicians just pose with their Fridays for Future kids in front of the cameras for good PR and more votes for the next elections, but they don't seem to care about climate protection and the children. This is a text about how angry I am, and politicians who obviously don't care about the climate crisis brag about how many billions of euros they're spending on climate protection without mentioning at the same time that they're pumping the same amount of money also into the fossil fuel industry, and they're thus pouring oil on the fire. This is a text about how angry I am that they're always pointing to China and the US, and they're saying, well, why should we do this or that and renounce doing this or that if they continue to pollute so much? Should Austria save the world, they're saying? Well, we're only responsible for a small fraction of CO2 emissions, and yes, of course, that is true, but what kind of argument is that? Nobody expects Austria to save the world, and we could even save the world if we wanted to. We're really way too small for that, but to overcome this climate crisis is like doing group work in school, and everybody needs to chip in. Unfortunately, you can't simply copy from your neighbor during the break. And where would we be if we were just pointing fingers? How old are we? 7? I mean, measures to protect the climate are first and foremost important for people in this country, so that we have fertile soils, clean water, and clean air. That's how simple it is. This is a text about how frustrated I am when our Chancellor gives a speech in which he says, and I quote, this apocalyptic doomsday scenario which is portrayed, I believe, is a task of political leaders to clearly counter this. I would just say the way this doom is sketched, well, there is no scientific evidence for that. Well, I'm saying, yes, there is proof. For example, the IPCC report. This is a text about how frustrated I am because we know that Austria actually has the money and the possibilities to take measures, but it doesn't. This is a text about how frustrated I am because it is still mainly about profit. This is a text about how frustrated I am because people get upset about climate seekers, but they make fun of them and they mock them instead of thinking about how desperate people must be to take such actions. This is a text about how frustrated I am that political blockades are not lifted instead. Everything is progressing way too slowly and nothing is happening. This is a text about how powerless I feel and how tired I am, and I'm grateful for all the kids and all the activists who regularly and tirelessly take to the streets. This is a text about how proud I am when I see little kids or young people themselves organizing protests and going out to demonstrate. And now that I'm slowly coming to the end of this text, you're probably wondering where the hopeful and encouraging message is before I leave this stage. Well, I don't have one because we are running out of time, and if I gloss over everything, then that's a chance I'm missing here to tell you that we need a lot more pressure and protest against politics. So my last sentence I want to share with you before I leave the stage. We still have a lot of work ahead of us. See you at the next protest march on the street.